time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast. Everybody, I am your host, Mike Adams, sitting in a warm Sunday afternoon cabin with Dan DeFall. What is going on, Danny?
You know what? I tell you what, it's like 60 degrees out there, and boy, does it feel nice.
It does. It's awesome out there.
The snow is practically gone. We got 3 weeks left of shooting, and do you think we're going to get a March St. Patrick's Day-ish snowstorm?
Always do. Yeah, I think we're going to have a couple more. We're going to have another snowfall, but I'm going to put the shovel away. If it snows, well, I'm going to let it lay. I didn't do a lot of shoveling this year anyway, so.
No, not really. Just a couple of times.
So, why don't we take care of some quick business here before we get started with the show tonight?
You know what? Let's do that. Let's take care of some quick business. As you see, we are drinking Hunter's Blend coffee, and that way, if you want to help support our supporters that support us, get over to huntersblendcoffee.com. Use the promo code that Mike is pointing at, or if you're listening to it on the podcast, capital UNJ on checkout, and you'll get 10% of your order.
Also with off on your order.
Thank you.
Not 10% of your order.
Right? It's a Buck Baits. That's right. Stop on over at Buck Baits. He's got some more stuff added to his lineup over there, from hunting stakes to backpacks to everything else under the sun that he's working on, making better that lineup that he's got over at Buck Baits. Go over to check them out at buckbaits.com. Use the promo code UpNorthJournal and get 20% on your checkout. And with this warm season, I tell you what, I think Mike had his Rebel 6 out this week, matter of fact.
I had a bunch of it out.
Okay, see, there you go. Rebel 6 Rub Seasoning. You got to try it, folks. Get it out. Get it ready. Order it today so you can have it for barbecuing this week. Go over to their website, rebel6rubs.com. Use the promo code NorthJournal. You'll get 20% off on your checkout order.
Well, I tell you what, we got that out of the way. Let's just get into it tonight. Hey, guys, what's going on? We got Dave Wilkins and we got Hendrik, both are on from over in Hickory Corners, Michigan. What's going on, guys?
Well, we're enjoying the sunshine over here also. It's a beautiful day out.
Well, keep it.
I feel at home with all this weather over here.
Well, bottle it up and send some over here so we can have some extra that we'll put on the shelf on those cloudy days. It is beautiful out, isn't it?
It is.
It's
very nice.
It's been an incredible couple of days, and I think we're going to get a couple more days. But actually, we went ahead and we put a poll up today, and it's: have you ever considered using a guide for hunting? And we got that poll going up right now, and it's I don't know how many people voted yet, but it's 100%. So whoever's voted on it, everybody's thinking about it so far.
Right. So that's a good thing for Dave Wilkins and company. And you guys, we've known each other for years, and we've talked, and we always come and visit you guys, and wherever we're at, and try to find you. And how's this year's season going? Looking down the road for people coming to you guys for your hunts.
It's looking really good. If I compare the statistics from last year to the previous couple of years, 2019 was almost a record year in South Africa. For our business as such, it was also very, very busy. It looks very good this year. So all the numbers that the economy is doing better really looks like it been the truth. So it looks very good. We're very excited about the new season coming up. I'll be home in about 10 days from now, and the day after I get home, I'll start the season. So, no, we're all excited about that.
Dave, how about yours? How's things going on your side?
Good. Like I said, I work with Hendrik very closely with the Africa stuff. He runs a great camp. I always have guys asking about Africa because it is very affordable. But all the other stuff, too, guys are asking about North America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, you name it. It's all going good, and I think that's due to the economy. So I hope we keep on this path. Let's go hunting.
Right on. I'm ready to go, man. I tell you what, this weather's got me all kinds of fired up to get outside and enjoy it. But
and for what you guys have been doing, Hendrik, how long have you been in the States so far this year? When did you come over? If you're going home in 10 days.
I always spend about 5 weeks over here, and I spend those 5 weeks almost exclusively in Michigan to do my marketing trip. It's always from the first week of February to about the second week of March. I go from show to show, and we have some private functions in between. And we try to keep as busy as possible, but thanks to guys like my good friend Dave on the left here, he makes it easy for me. And, I got to know a whole lot of Michiganders over the last 20 years.
Why did you pick Michigan to do all of your marketing towards? I mean, what's special about our state compared to some other states?
It's a real long story. I have family that lives in Grand Rapids, but it's family that go 100 years back. My family is 13 generations in South Africa, but about 5 generations ago, some people from the Netherlands moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and some stayed back in South Africa, and they reunited again in the end of the previous century, in 1909 to be exact. And ever since I came to visit them, and I started my marketing over here when I started crawling at the beginning, and it slowly built up. But I decided this is the month I'm going to use for my marketing. I'm not traveling all over the country like a lot of my competitors do. I picked Michigan. I like the Michigan people. It's my kind of people, the more conservative kind of people. And we have a great time when they're over there. And we became lifelong friends with a whole lot of them in the past.
So I take it that's how you met Dave, you had family, you said, there in the Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo area, which is kind of where he's at.
Yeah. I met Dave here. We counted this morning. How far is that? About 15 years ago, is it? And we've been working close together ever since. We've sent some real good people over there, and we brought them back with a great bunch of memories.
That's good to hear, is forging friendships, whether it be in hunting and anything you do. But most importantly, you guys have developed a friendship 15 years now running, and that makes it so much more fun in a way that when you guys, like Mike and I, we got more of a friendship. We do this thing absolutely, but as you can see in our early drop, we like to kid around.
I take it Dave hasn't seen that quick video drop that we did. You have to go back and look at it, Dave.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, we had a little fun there. But getting back to your outfitting business there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pronounced Matwetwe. Is that
perfect? You're one of few that knows how to pronounce that.
Well, you just taught me how before the show started, so I can't claim that I'm an expert at it. But where did that name come from?
That was my dad's nickname. Years back, my dad was a really good shot. And the natives over there, the northern Sesotho people, they always have a nickname for somebody, but they always get the nickname after some act that they've done. And apparently my dad must have impressed a lot of them, and they called him Matwetwe, which means marksman. Okay. So when I started my business, I decided, well, that might be a good idea to call that the name of my business. So ever since, that's the name that's been spreading around in Michigan.
Okay, so you've known Dave for 15 years. What's his nickname?
What's his nickname? I'm going to have to ask my tracker when I get home.
Okay.
I don't know yet.
We could say it in Afrikaans, but not English.
Okay. I just thought I'd throw that out there. You can tell you guys are friends for a long time just by the way you're interacting there. That's good stuff. So looking at your guiding service, I mean, I guess what if somebody's going to come and say, I want to go to Africa and I want to go on a hunt, whatever species it might be, or species plural, what's one of the first things that you advise them on?
Take us through the steps as to
what do we have to do?
You know what, Dave? I walk up to you guys at the show. Take me through it.
Let me start at the beginning. Legally, in South Africa, you have to hunt with a qualified professional hunter. And there's schools and registration and all things that we have to go through back there in South Africa to make sure that we have a standard in the industry. After that, it is a good thing if you book a hunt with somebody that's registered with the Professional Hunters Association of South Africa, which we have about 1,100 members of. And going from there, it's always good to use somebody in any business that's that's been in the business for a long time, and that's done it for a long time, and it's got a lot of good resume, a lot of references that's speaking positively about that outfit. From there you go, and then you start talking to locals like Dave here to guide you in the direction of what species you're after. We hunt more than 50 different species in South Africa, if you count it all together. So there's a huge variety. We would like to find a guy that will shoot all 50 of them on a one trip, but it's kind of difficult to do that. So usually the first timer will go there and take a few plains game animals. Usually they work up to I always tell them when they go there the first time, they will plan a second time on the plane ride back, because there's just so much to do over there. For the dollar that you spend, I don't think there's anywhere in the world that you can compare to South Africa as a hunting destination. For $3,000, you can hunt 7 days and kill 4 animals, trophy animals there as a basic package. But you can do anything from there on. Usually the guys that goes there second or third time, they start going into the big 5 stuff, hunting buffalo, elephant, leopard, those kind of animals. But it is really something. It's a life-changing experience.
It sounds like it. And, we're rolling through some of the pictures that Dave, you sent us of the different animals that you can take. So we're talking like a 7-day package that it's almost like a life changer. And right now, the money that, like Hendrik said, you spend and the value you're getting is just incredible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like he said, you can go over there and shoot 4 or 5 animals for what it costs to go out west and go elk hunting. I deal with a lot of out west outfitters, and they get elk hunts starting at $5,000 to $7,500, and that's for one animal, and you're really not even guaranteed that. So you can go over there and shoot.
Right.
Go ahead.
So going to Africa, your success rate is?
If you shoot straight, we're going to put you on the animals.
So
100%, just long as you pull straight.
Okay, there we go. That now, do you use rifle? Do you use bow, or can you use mix, or what's the weapon of choice?
We use rifle. There's minimum calibers for some animals, but we use rifle, we use bow, we use muzzle loader, we use handgun, all of the above.
Okay, good. That's good to know, because I know crossbow is popular. Some guys like to travel with just a bow, a gun. Even Ron Moses here makes a comment on our live feed that the price you guys just said about the $3,000, that's cheaper than caribou. So.
Oh yeah. Especially now that Quebec is shut down for caribou. The only spots left is Northwest Territories and Alaska, and you're looking at $15,000+.
Oh wow!
There's always a misperception about spending money. People. The average guy on the street, a lot of times, if they haven't done enough homework, they think, going to Africa. Africa is the romanticized destination for hunters all over the years. They think you need big money, have to be a millionaire to go over there to hunt, and it's really not the case. The average guy that's got an average job can really afford doing that.
That's awesome. And so the first tip we're going to give everybody is do a little homework on the person that you want to check out with. Dave can help you with that. We're going to step out for our first break, but when we come back, let's start off with a little plane trip down there and go from there.
All right, sounds good. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this. PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show, talking with Hendrik Botha from South Africa. It's South Africa, right?
Yep.
Okay. What town are you from over there? Is it someplace we'd recognize?
You would not recognize it. The smallest town by me is about 15 miles away. It's called Rutan.
Okay. How far from Johannesburg?
It is about 2.5 hours drive north of Johannesburg in the Limpopo province.
Okay, all right. I can relate to a 2.5 hour drive. That's how far it is from my camp to my house. So,
and speaking of that, so we're gonna need to fly down there. What is the length of the plane trip?
You fly to the easiest way to get there is to fly with Delta through Atlanta, straight flight to Johannesburg. That is from Atlanta a 16-hour flight. In South Africa and Johannesburg, my company's people will pick you up right at the airport. So there's no secondary flight or traveling from there. We just do the 2.5 hours drive to the camp from there.
Oh, nice. That's excellent. You picked right up from the airport. You head out to camp. Now, when we're booking here, and you have your hunter, can somebody else go along for just a nominal fee?
Oh yeah, that happens a lot. Our camp is. It's very family orientated. We have had very many families, people that bring their wives and their kids along to join in on the hunt. Sometimes the kids themselves hunt, but sometimes you want to have 10 guys in a group and only guys. That also happens. Of course, our whole trip is an all-inclusive thing. We give personal attention. My own home is right on the same premises, and we have dinner in the evening with the clients, and we share stories around the fire, and it's just a riot to be, spending time together and getting to know each other well.
Excellent. And what time of year are we looking at for doing this? Spring, summer, winter, or fall? What time of the year?
We can hunt all year round if we want to, but our hunting season is not by legislation, a certain time of the year. We hunt from mid-March to about mid-November. Mid-October. Sorry. So that's 6 months of the year. We try to keep it as busy as possible. What is a very important part of our company is that we do not book more than one group at a time in camp. So if you and your buddy are coming, or you and your wife, you're going to be alone in camp for the time that you're there. That's one of my policies in my business, and it's been working really well for me so far.
Okay.
One thing you got. Nice. I was just going to add to that. One thing you got to remember: they're in the southern hemisphere, so their seasons are opposite of ours. So when he's talking March through October, that's their winter time when it's our summertime. So it can get cold in the morning. You'll see your breath. So you want to pack some warm clothes for in the morning, but then by lunchtime it's 75 degrees. So just got to remember that their seasons are opposite.
And one other question that we got coming over Facebook is somebody's going to fly down there. They want to use their weapon. Is there a procedure they need to go through of getting their weapon down there? Is it overly complicated, or is it not that complicated?
It is not that complicated. If you go on our website, there's a link to riflepermits.com. That's the guy handling that for me. For a minimal fee, he would pre-order all those forms for you. You'll be in contact with him like a month or so before your trip to bring your own guns. But we also provide rifles. We rent rifles out of our camp. And we see that nowadays that there's less and less airlines that want to travel with rifles, that more and more people are renting rifles from us. We have high quality rifles. We reload our own ammunition. We have good optics and stuff on it. So we want you to make a clean kill as clean as possible.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than a clean kill and not really needing a tracker to find your animal. Another question. We're talking hunting. Is there any fishing available in the area?
There is fishing, but that's not that much. By us, it's very dry, so there's not that much water around. Not too far away from me is the Elephants River. There's hippos and crocodiles in that river too, but the fish species that we're after is catfish, brim, and black bass, also a few other species. But fishing is not as nearly as big as what it is here in Michigan. We do take trips to Victoria Falls, Cape Town, and Kruger National Park as well for photo safaris. When people go to Victoria Falls, there's a lot of really good tiger fishing over there. You will be familiar with tiger fishing as one of the big sport fish of the world. So over there we have a guy that we send people for fishing.
That's awesome. It's great to hear about families coming down, using your services, bringing the better half, bringing their kids. Now, Dave, I think you took your daughter, and didn't she win some award down there?
Yeah, I spoiled my daughter. I started her off in Michigan whitetails, and Michigan can be finicky with whether you see a lot of deer or no deer. And then I first took her to Africa when she was only 13. She killed some stuff then. But yeah, this last time when we went over, Hendrik has a camp award called the Harold King Award. Harold King is actually from your side of the state, has been with us several times.
Lake Orion.
Lake Orion. And his first trip over, he did the Matwetwe Award and killed every animal that he had with one shot. Hendrik was impressed with that because he wasn't kind of used to it with a bunch of the clients. And so he created an award that if you take 6 animals, a minimum of 6 animals with one shot apiece, your name goes on a plaque and he sends you home with this cool little award. Our last trip over, when I took my daughter, she ended up with, I think, 10 animals, 10 shots. The youngest person or female to get the award. So when you have a 19-year-old that outshoots the guy that's been hunting his whole life, that tells you something.
I just want to add a little bit on that award. Harold King himself ended up shooting 15 animals in a row, but that was not all in the first year. But he used 15 shots to shoot those 15 animals. It took 3 years to do that, but that is something that speaks for itself. Using basic equipment, but just being a marksman with his equipment. And to encourage the hunters, that's why I started doing that thing, to encourage them to shoot better, because that's what we want to do. We want to make the best shot possible. And to do that, you have to be a good hunter to get as close as possible to the animal. But not only that, you need to be a superb marksman. And to give you a number, on average, in all the years that we've had that, you have about a 3.5% chance to make that award. And that is quite an achievement. If you did do that, I must add a little something more about Harold. His daughter and his grandson, also whose names are on that board. So I'm very proud of it.
That's awesome. And as we talk about awards and stuff, just to finish out the conversation about the airline trip down there, one question we've got, what is about the amount of, how much is the airline ticket going to cost, Dave?
Yeah, those vary. Depends on what time of the season you go. June, July, August is what South Africa considers their tourist season. So they bump them up a little bit, but it's also prime hunting season. To give you an example, if you fly Delta, it is the best direct shot. You're going to pay a little bit more, but we just talked with a client last night who's coming in a couple of months, and through London and then down, he got him for $800 round trip.
So he's from
Chicago.
Exactly, Chicago to London, London down to Johannesburg.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So he got him for $800 peak season round trip.
That's incredible.
I've paid as much as like $1,800. So if you do the shopping, you can get some good deals, especially if you're going to rent our rifles over there. You can get some real good deals like he did going through London without your own weapons. It's real reasonable.
Okay.
Airfare.
All right. Good. That's good to know. Especially so again, do your shopping for your airline tickets, because if we're booking now, how long to a trip we're looking? Are we looking end of this year, into next year? Where are we looking for time-wise?
We've got a few openings left this year. We have obviously been doing shows for 4 or 5 weeks now. We got the Big Flint show coming up this weekend. We'll hopefully fill some spots. We're meeting a client as soon as we're done here with you also who's looking at this year. So we do have a couple spots open for this year, booking into next, and 21's getting pretty booked up too. So if you can make it happen this year, get a hold of us and we'll squeeze you in for sure.
The fact that we the fact that we are the fact that we are not booking more than one group at a time, it's not a McDonald's deal where you have a whole bunch of hunters in camp at a time. So for that reason, we get booked up quite fast. So if you want to get a chance to still go this season, you better act fast.
Right.
Going back, I want to ask a question about renting firearms. I got to assume renting a firearm from you is probably cheaper than shipping one across, but also for those that maybe they're really tied to their firearm and they want to ship it across. what's the average caliber that people should consider about bringing over? And I know the Big 5 is going to take a lot heavier caliber, but on average, what should they be looking at?
On regular plains game, we recommend anything from a 270 up, but it is more important to use the right kind of bullets than it is to choose a different caliber rifle. Your regular deer rifle that you use is perfect to kill our plains game with, as long as you use premium grade bullets. A deer bullet that put your whitetail down with one shot is not necessarily the bullet that's going to put a wildebeest down with one shot. We need good weight retention on a bullet that'll give you deep penetration, because our animals have a very tighter, heavier skin, heavier bone, and they are, living under very harsh circumstances there, so they are more difficult to kill.
Okay, so a premium grade bullet. Give us an example of what you would recommend.
I'm talking, my favorite bullet is a Barnes Triple Shock, TSX, or nozzle partition, trophy bonnet, bear claw, Swift A-frame, those kind of things that is designed to stay together and to have more weight retention for deeper penetration. That is if you go after plains game. But talking about dangerous game, buffalo and those things, you're talking completely different. There you also need a solid bullet. My favorite there is a monolithic solid, call it Zombo bullet. They're made in South Africa, or even something like a Barnes Bandit solid, or anything in the monolithic solid department. And also expanding bullets, that is premium grade bullets in the heavy calibers. A minimum caliber for dangerous game is 375 H&H.
Okay, I've shot one of those one time. That's a big gun. So I would assume then the people that are from Michigan, if you're just your average whitetail hunter and you're considering about going over there, it's just better off to go ahead and rent a firearm from you, because you're going to have the caliber needed. You're also going to have the ammunition that you recommend for it, and we don't have to go searching around for it here, because I got to imagine there's not a big wide selection of that type of ammo here in the States.
No, you can find that ammo everywhere, except in South Africa when you have to go to a gun shop. It's not that easy to find it, but we reload, so we have the best quality there is for the clients to use. But if you want to travel with your own rifles, most manufacturers have everything available at the major gun stores.
Okay, that's good to know for the rifle side. But now let's switch over to the bow side. What do I need for a broadhead, Dave? What do you suggest that somebody brings with them?
Well, it's good you asked, because that's kind of my specialty, and what I like is the archery side of it. I recommend a fixed blade head, because like Hendrik was saying, the animals over there are built a little different than our whitetails and elk and that type of stuff here. So a good fixed blade, G5 striker, the Muzzies type broadheads. I have personally tested some mechanicals over there with good results. There are certain mechanicals that we do not want in camp because they don't function. And I'm not going to say it on air, but if you contact me, I'll tell you which ones to stay away from.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I recommend just a good, what you're shooting for your whitetails is more than enough. 60 plus pounds would be ideal, because we sit up at water holes and you wait for the animals to come to you, kind of like you would sitting in a tree stand waiting for a whitetail. So the shots are usually no more than 25 yards, usually 15 to 20 yards. So your typical whitetail setup with just good broadhead is going to do the job.
Okay, so 60 pounds, prefer a fixed blade. There are some mechanicals out there that could be used as well, and you'll be sitting on water holes looking at a distance of about max 30 yards.
Okay, well, let's say we're going to come over and somebody wants to hunt one of the Big 5 or all the Big 5, however much money they want to spend, but they're going to do it with archery equipment. Is that something you don't recommend because the Big 5 are so dangerous?
No, we have done it and we still do it. That is just extremely important that you adjust your equipment that you use. For the same obvious reason, Cape Buffalo is a very, very tough animal. For those, we do not use more than a 2-blade, but the very, very heavy arrows with a very heavy broadhead. The most common one that I've used there was the Grizzly Stick brand. With arrows, you're talking 950 to 1100 grains of arrow. That limits you a little bit on the distance, but for sure it gives you that penetration that you need. And, buffalo is a tough animal, but if you put that arrow on the right spot, it also takes the same time to die as any other game.
So just like a bullet, you need something real heavy to get in, to do that penetration and get into that animal.
Yeah, especially on a Cape buffalo, because they're, like you said, you got 2,000 pounds of meat and muscle, and their rib bones usually overlap.
Yeah, always.
And so there's no sneaking in between the ribs. You got to go through ribs. So you need the kinetic energy, you need the power to bust through those ribs into the vitals.
Is there a minimum poundage that you recommend on that, 60, or would you rather see somebody with 70-pound bow or more?
You're going to have to shoot higher poundage for that weight of arrow and to bust through the ribs. So I know a guy that's done it with 70, but most guys are pushing 80-pounders.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, Dan. Start lifting weights.
That ain't happening. I'll tell you that much. I'll just give Hendrik can give me a gun and I'll shoot that way. That ain't happening. I just for Cape buffalo, I got that fear. I'd shoot it and it'd stick it and turn around and run me down like a Mack truck.
Well, that's why Dave's there with a rifle ready to drop it in case it does.
I hope you got backup.
You do have backup for guys who are out hunting with archery equipment for the dangerous game, right?
Oh yes, yeah. Dangerous game. There's always most of the time 2 professional hunters with you, and they both have big bore magnums to stop any aggression, if you will.
Yeah, but with archery, when you go after something like Cape buffalo, you also make sure you don't take a shot too late in the day. You go early, and if it gets too late, you don't go. You don't go take a shot because you don't have enough time to follow up, and you need to give them enough time to make sure it's dead before you get there. But for precaution, we do carry heavy caliber rifles.
Gotcha.
All right.
So there's a little strategy to this.
Little strategy as to when you're going to do your shooting. With that being said, I think we're bumping up on another break. When we come back, we got a listener with a question, and we'll hit you that up in the next segment.
All right, we're going to step outside, take our next break. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We're still talking with Hendrik and Dave. And Hendrik is from Matwetwe. I said that right, I do believe, over in South Africa. So you had a question, Dan?
One question we did have was, a person has used your services, they've gone down, they've gotten some game. What's about, on average, the cost to ship the animals back home in length of time?
The company that I use to do the dip and packing, that is if you do the taxidermy in the US, the skins have to go through a treatment called dip and packing, and then that roughly costs around $100, $120 per animal. But then the shipping is on top of that. The dip and pack company has a slogan that says dip and ready to ship in 99 days. So they're pretty good with that. 3 months it'll be ready to ship, but then the shipping will take another 2 months or so. You can roughly look at about 6 months, then you'll have the trophies back here in the US.
And those can be shipped then directly to, as they come to the United States, I'm assuming they got to go through customs, and then you can ship them to the taxidermist of your choice.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. You can actually, depending on what animals you have in the shipment, you could ship to your house if you wanted, but anything that has swine or primates in it, so like bush pig, warthog, baboon, monkey, does have to ship to a USDA facility. So even if you're shipping to your taxidermist, not all taxidermists are USDA approved. So that's something you'd want to check with your taxidermist if you've got those items. Otherwise, would have to ship to a different taxidermist that is USDA approved with those items.
Oh, okay.
Looking at some of the animals that you offer to have hunted over there, I do know that recently there's been some animals that have been put on a list, like the polar bear, that we cannot actually bring back into the United States. Is there any animals that are in Africa on that list right now that we can't bring back that we need to stay away from, that you know of?
There is currently elephants and lions, brown hyena. It's all animals that's on that list where we can legally hunt them in South Africa, but you cannot import them into the US. That is really working very much against the conservation of those species in Africa, which is a subject that we can talk for a very long time about. Because if you take the value of an animal away, then you are literally destroying that species in the long run. And that is happening with elephants as we speak. The American market is by far the biggest market of hunting trophy elephant. And if the path of importing those elephants into the biggest market in the world is being blocked, then simply that animal loses its value, and the money that ends up in the poor African's pocket is taken away from him, and then he turns to poaching. And that is the bad cycle that we want to stay away from. Hunting is the only thing that creates a value on an animal's head in Africa, and we need to keep that path intact.
You know, I think you spot on with that. We don't talk about that enough. Where I work at a local TV station, and I'm one of the few hunters there. And I get a lot of questions like that. Why do people want to go to Africa? Why would they take an animal from over there when they can hunt here? And I'm like, you don't understand about the conservation efforts, you know. And you're spot on with that. I think if we don't speak out more about this to the people who don't know, we do take a chance on losing those.
Yeah, if you look at statistics, in the 1970s, they quit hunting altogether in Kenya. And over the last few years or decades up to now, Kenya has lost the beautiful wildlife that they've had. They've lost almost 80% of their wildlife. And the only reason for that is they took the value off of the animal. If you look at the absolute success story that we've had in South Africa, in the 1960s, there was a survey done where roughly there was estimated that there were about 650,000 wild animals in the country of South Africa. The same survey was done in 2006, and the numbers have increased to an extent where there was more than 18 million animals, wild animals in South Africa alone. And the sole reason for this is value on the animal's head through hunting. That made hunting the biggest conservation tool that we had in the whole of South Africa, and that same concept is working in other countries in Southern Africa as well, and it needs to be recognized all over the world.
Speaking on that a little bit, with some of the animals that we know the rhinoceros. People are really adamant about protecting that animal, and rightfully so. But can you talk a little bit about when they do hunt one of those? It's one of the animals that's past prime, or that may be doing damage to the herd and killing the younger bulls. I mean, isn't that right?
Yeah, most of the time, an animal like that is an old male animal that is too old to breed anymore. He's passed on his genes already in the herd, and what better way to put him down by the way of hunting and bring in hunters' dollars in to bring money in for the conservation, bring money into the locals, and having the meat distributed amongst the local population. The private concept of, the concept of private ownership in South Africa is actually creating such a big bunch of people that's all anti-poaching teams, if you can put it in that manner. Because if somebody has an animal that's his own animal, that means that he will do everything in his power to protect that animal. And that makes him a big anti-poaching unit on its own. And in South Africa, we have more than 10,000 private owners of livestock, of wild animals in South Africa. So it's really an industry that's gained momentum over the last few decades.
Yeah, that's awesome. As far as people being able to take and invest within their own local community. Talk about, you said something there that caught my ear as well. Taking the animal from the field. And I've heard this many times, that they take everything. They take all of the animal and they distribute it throughout the community, and that in turn feeds people. It also, do they not, if they have extra, do they not take it to the market to sell as well, to gain money for the local community?
Yeah, that is a big benefit of hunting in the whole of the country. you will be amazed that absolutely nothing goes to waste. If we gut an animal, that guts that you see that falls on the ground, the small intestines, the big intestines, the heart, liver, everything, they rinse it off and they go dry it and they would eat all of that. We distribute amongst the community. There's some schools that, that's supported by the hunting operators in the area. But, most importantly, the hunting industry creates jobs. I mean, one guy that works, and this is through research, one guy that works on a hunting property provides for 30 other people. Wow. There's a whole lot of people in Africa that does not have jobs. And the hunting industry creates so many jobs. It's actually a backbone of the countryside over there.
That's incredible. And that's the kind of stories, like I said, we need to get out and actually talk about more. I think to just the average American who really doesn't understand what true conservation is about and hunting and how they play together. So I appreciate you taking time and talking about that a little bit.
That's amazing, and you hear about that and how one job supports 30 people is a wonderful ratio, a sad ratio actually, but it's still good to know that by having people come to you using your business, you're able to branch out and support many others.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, I tell you what, let's cut this segment just a little bit short, and we'll save the rest of the time for the end of the show here. When we come back, we want to talk a little more with you about, actually, Dave, he's got some other opportunities as well. It's not just South Africa, but I'll give you an opportunity to talk about that a little bit, and then we'll wrap things up. We'll step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show, talking about getting an outfitter, planning hunts, looking forward to the future, getting out in the field. It's all awesome stuff.
It is. It's just getting out there. But you don't have to necessarily go to Africa. Dave also, with his Droptine Outdoors Adventures, can take us on an adventure just about anywhere in the world. Dave, what do you got for us?
Oh, I cover a lot of places. Do everything all over Canada. Out west, elk, mule deer, antelope, outdead sheep, you name it. Australia, New Zealand, Sweden, Iceland, a little bit of everything. So, you
can go anywhere. It's
a matter of where guys want to go, their budget, their bucket list, that type of thing. I can help you for sure. And we work with great outfitters like Hendrik all over the place. Been there, done that. So we've researched them. We've been there, all of that. So I know that I've done the homework for you, really.
Right, exactly. And you know what? Speaking of that, if we're planning to go some places require a lottery type system or point system.
Correct. A lot of, especially out west now. Wyoming, Colorado, not so much. Colorado's got some point system, but Wyoming, and a lot of those places, they're doing all the lottery system now. You just can't say, hey, I want to go hunting this fall and drive out and want to shoot elk or mule deer. There's a lottery system. Their application period is like elk for this fall is already closed for Wyoming. So you can't even hunt elk in Wyoming this year for being a non-resident. And so you got to plan well in advance to get into the lottery system. Sometimes you can draw a tag the first year. Otherwise, depending on the area and what species, it can take a decade or more. So you got to plan accordingly for out west.
Wow.
Correct.
And that was going to be my question. Actually, for both of you, is time frame wise, on average, I mean, I know there's points draws for certain states, Dave, but just on average, if you want to go outside the country, whether it be Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, to do some of these hunts, how much time should you look ahead as far as planning a trip like this?
Well, like I said, it depends on really your time schedule. We've got openings. If you could make it work this year with like Hendrik, we could squeeze you in. I got some New Zealand stuff open this year. It just depends on your schedule. We can do some last minute things. But a lot of guys, especially if they're going overseas, they want to plan a year in advance or so. That way we get you on the books. We can start covering all the bases, paperwork, plane, tickets and all that type of thing.
Well, one thing that I want to add in there, when you're rifle hunting, it's a little more flexible because we can hunt the whole, the whole season. But if you're a serious bow hunter, we hunt over water holes, so we want to hunt in the driest time of the year. That gives you July, August, September. Those 3 months are the best for bow hunting, but even the best time is at the dark moon in those 3 months. So I have some really serious bow hunters. That's my clients over the years. We have more than a 60% return business of people that's hunted with us over the years, people that's hunted 20 times or 10 times with us. But to get that prime bow hunting spots, sometimes you have to look at 2 years in advance to get those. So I have a booking for 2023 of an example like I've just explained.
Okay, so you can book out a couple years in advance. Okay.
Yeah.
I assume when you book, how much of a deposit do you need to put down on one of these hunts?
I take $1,000 deposit.
Okay. All right. Now,
as far as some of my other outfitters out west or something, it's usually in the same ballpark, depending on the expense of the hunt. And it's anywhere from like $1,000 to like 25% of the hunt as your deposit.
Okay, and question for you, Dave, coming in from Ron. The caribou in Alaska, is it over the counter or is it lotto?
No, you can do over the counter, but it's one of those that unfortunately with Quebec now shut down with caribou between Northwest Territories and Alaska. My guy in Alaska is getting $14,000 just for caribou. So
wow,
it's an expensive hunt.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
We can do it if you want.
Get your checkbook out.
Get your checkbook out. Absolutely.
Hendrik, when people sign up with you and they get ready to come over there and they show up, you pick them up at the airport. What's one of the biggest misconceptions people have, or biggest mistakes they make when you pick them up at the airport and you go, you forgot this or you did this? What would that be?
I've had a client that's hunted more than 28 times in Africa. And when I get that question, he always tells me, tell the people to bring less stuff and more money. So, no. Usually, the first timers have way too much stuff.
Okay.
And, we do daily laundry services. So you need 2 or 3 sets of clothes maximum. Every day, we have everything that you need is in camp. It's all, all-inclusive deal. But one thing that you must remember, if you do forget something, we're not out in the middle of the desert, where there's nothing. We have most of the equipment that's needed for making a good hunt. So it's not a big deal if you do forget something. But most people, I have never had anybody that couldn't hunt because he forgot something at home.
Okay, I got
the biggest thing with South. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to follow up with that. Another thing that comes to mind is if you bring in your own rifles, South Africa, you can have no semi-automatic weapons in South Africa. And with that said, I had a client years ago that I was helping with the rifle paperwork, and I asked him make, model, serial numbers of everything so I could get the paperwork filled out correctly. Well, at the last minute, he decided to change his weapons without telling me, and he shows up at the airport to meet Hendrik with a semi-automatic rifle. So needless to say, the police in the airport were not happy with his choice of what he brought into their country. So listen to us, listen to Hendrik when we tell you to do something or not do something.
Do it.
Because it can, but for the most part, everything's good. And like Hendrik said, we can take care of you in camp pretty well.
All right, cool. Speaking of taking care of me in camp or anybody that's going to be out there, Hendrik, what is your favorite meal to serve a hunter for the night? And your favorite meal? You had to cook them one meal for the whole trip. What are you going to cook them?
I'll answer that. Eland.
Now that's
a good eland steak.
That is a very, very easy question. That is a eland tenderloin over the sickle bush coals. We like to sit around the fire at night and exchange stories. Some people like to smoke a cigar and have a cocktail. And, seeing and being part of the experience, how we barbecue it, and getting all kinds of comments about how they would have done it, that's just part of making the experience better. So eland tenderloin, that's my favorite.
Okay, so you helped me answer two questions with one because Dave was in agreement with that. I was going to try to find out what Dave was his favorite meal, but it sounds like you guys got the same taste.
Well, along those same lines, what one meat or animal is definitely an acquired taste that maybe most people would maybe kind of turn their nose up at, but some people there locally say this is some of the best stuff there is?
Warthog. I personally do not like warthog. It's got a flavor to it that I don't like. But my guys that work for me sometimes ask me in the off season, can I go shoot them a warthog because they just loves it. So a warthog and a zebra is two of the kinds of species that we don't really care to eat because they have an acquired taste, like you said. But almost all of the other species is really, really good. They're not gamey at all. We try to prepare it in very different ways. Most hunters are people that want to taste what they hunted, and that's part of the experience. So we try to prepare almost every species we can for them.
Okay. Somebody posted something here that just made me think of something as far as coming over. I know that you have to go through, when you're traveling abroad, you need to get a series of shots, inoculations to make sure that you're not bringing something over or you're bringing something back, that you don't catch something while you're there. I even hate to ask this, but has the coronavirus, this big, I want to call media hype right now, has that affected your any of your booking right now? I mean, are you seeing anything with that?
Let's start with the shots and stuff first.
Okay.
In the area where I'm at, you do not need any shots. We're also in a malaria-free area. You do not need to take any malaria pills. The coronavirus, we have now 2 cases that I read this morning on the South African newspaper. 2 cases in South Africa. But this whole thing, like you must know, is really blown out of proportion if you compare it to all the other diseases that kills a lot more people than what corona kills. I have not had any people that was asking questions or trying to cancel or something like that so far. So far so good. We hope that's going to stay like that, and corona is going to be something of the past pretty soon.
Hopefully corona is something we're sitting by at the campfire drinking. I completely agree. It's more people die from the flu every year than what has died worldwide from this so far. Not to say it couldn't ramp up, but I just thought I'd ask because it's in the news and somebody might have that question. So, but before we let you go, I do want to mention that you're going to be in the Flint, Michigan area, which is where Danny and I are located. You're going to be at the Flint Safari Club banquet, and that's this coming Friday at the Dort Federal Event Center here in Flint, Michigan. And then I know Saturday's the big dinner and banquet and everything. You need tickets for that. I think those are $75. But the Friday event's free. So if somebody in the area wants to check out what you're doing, let's invite them over. And come over and check and see what you guys got to offer, right?
Absolutely. I've been involved with that chapter of Safari Club there in Flint for more than 12 years. I know a whole bunch of people there. I'm proud to be part of that. It's very important in the days that we live today, that we talked about earlier, that organizations like that fights for the rights of hunters worldwide and conservation worldwide needs to be supported. But not only the supporting of the chapter, but also, if anybody wants to ask more questions, look at pictures of our camp and look at pictures of the animals that we hunted in the last few years, they are more than welcome to come and meet me. Dave will also be there from Saturday, but I will be more than happy to answer any question.
Okay. Speaking of that, we can come see you, but is there a way to get a hold of you online or Facebook, or how can somebody get a hold of you if they listen to this and go, hey, I want to check you out?
They can visit our website. They just got to get the spelling right at www.matwetwesafaris.com. My email address is info@matwetwesafaris.com. I'm going to spell it. Matwetwe Safaris, you spell Matwetwe, matwetwesafaris.com.
And Dave, if somebody wants to get a hold of you.
My website is huntdroptineoutdoors.com. Kind of the same thing. You can go on there. I've got a lot of the Africa stuff listed, plus everything else that I represent. And same thing, info@huntdroptine.com. And there's a link on there to the emails and everything else that I do. So,
going back to the Safari Club, are you, Hendrik, offering a hunt up over there that's going to be auctioned off?
Yes, there's a couple of hunts. I do not know if one is going to be on the Friday night, but it might be that both are on the Saturday evening auction. But I have a couple of hunts on the auction, yes.
Yeah. Can you tell everybody what hunts that you got up for bid?
One hunt is for 4 hunters for 7 days, and it also includes $1,000 of trophy fees for each hunter. So it's $4,000 of trophy fees, and the other hunt includes gemsbuck, wildebeest, springbuck, zebra. There's like 5 animals in that other package. Also a 5-day package, all-inclusive deal.
All right, guys. So anybody here in the state of Michigan that wants to get in on one of these hunts, get over there, get your ticket for the Saturday dinner and auction. I think, like I said, those are $75 a piece. Go over there and spend some money. Get over there and bid on these hunts. I tell you what, I've seen auctions over there. I've seen some of these hunts, go for a fairly reasonable price. You can get some good deals.
Yeah, that's true. No, and it's all for a good cause. You gotta know it. That money goes for fighting for conservation and fighting for hunters.
Absolutely. So, is there anything else that we didn't cover, maybe that that we missed, that you'd like to say before we let you go?
We just need to get your guys' address so you can send us the deposit for your hunts coming up.
I knew that was coming. There you go.
I want one guide named Dave Wilkins, because I seen a picture of that guy after I think the picture was titled something about after tracking or something, and he was laying down next to another puppy. It looked like. I don't know if that's a tracking dog or whatever it was, but it looks like you guys were pretty relaxed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was actually beside his pool at camp after a long day in the field. Numbi, who is the tracking dog, and I decided the warm sun was nice, so we took a siesta by the pool.
Nothing wrong with that. There ain't a thing wrong with that.
And that's how Dave hunts.
Hey, if you can get away with that, that's good. That's good living right there.
Right?
Well, I tell you what, we're going to wrap up the podcast portion, but you guys hang on here on the live stream real quick. So for everybody on the podcast, we had pictures up that you obviously didn't get to see, so stop over. Make sure you check out Wednesday.
Wednesday will be the YouTube drop and the live Facebook feed. We just are going to end here soon. And you got to check out some of the pictures. Get a hold of Dave. Get a hold of Hendrik. Take a trip of a lifetime to Africa. Great money, price for the money.
Absolutely.
As we found out,
So everybody get over there, check them out, check out their websites and everything, and that'll do it for us here on the podcast. Y'all take care. We'll be back again next week.
And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Lim Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislavski Release Aids.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.